Okay, I'm going to call the revenue neutral hearing open.
All righty, this is a brand new thing this year brought to us by our legislatures and our governor. New deal that we have to address the revenue neutral rate and have a public hearing about it. And the opportunities for people to ask questions if you have any. But by way of making sure anybody even knows anything about it whatsoever, the revenue neutral rate was put into place basically to say if our taxes are going to be higher than last year, it gives the public the chance to say, well, why? Or where's it going? It's interesting because as soon as we finish this hearing, we'll move to the budget hearing, and it's the exact same thing. But in the wisdom of those above us, we have to do it twice. So we're going to. The revenue neutral rate actually for us this year, our overall mills will be dropping by 0.116, I believe it is. So technically, you'd say, well, you don't have to do the hearing on the revenue neutral rate, except, contraire, mon frere, if any one of 4 individual budgets are going to be higher than last year, then we have to come here and have this hearing. 4 being the general fund, the LOB, the capital outlay, and or the bond and interest. Due to the way the taxes flowed last year and the variety of, well, another taxes, we picked up better money from the collection rate, and we had, we're state funded now, or state aided with the LOB, that created an opening for the LOB. So we were able to move some mills around within there, so we decided to move up the capital outlay mills from 4.767 to 7, and move up the bond interest from 3.117 to 3.6. So both of those, us doing either one of those 2 things, were both of them triggers the need to have this hearing. So just for information's sake, if we had decided to just gather that tax back and not issue it, it would have generated a grand total of $34.50 per year for a $100,000 house, $2.87 worth of tax cut for someone. We thought it would be better interest for the district and for everyone involved to go ahead and move up the capital outlay, which will generate an additional $222,000, and also the bond and interest, which will generate right at $27,000, which will allow us ultimately, you play it out, to pay that off sooner. So that's the hearing for that. Any questions out there that Mike or I can answer for you? It's not necessary to have any questions, by the way. We don't get extra stock options by answering questions. And we will later in the meeting have the opportunity to adopt whatever you get, this hearing stuff that we do right now. Trevor has a question. So move on.
Okay, I'm going to close the revenue neutral hearing, and I'm going to open the budget hearing.
All righty, and this is the one that has been enforced in Kansas since I've been an educator. And basically it's an opportunity for, we have to post our proposed taxes for the year by a certain date. Then we have to come forward and have this hearing, give the opportunity for the same exact process for the public to, just basically ask some questions here and there. I've already talked about the end result, but I'm going to go through it again. The LOB was able to go down this year because of the tax collection rate was higher than it's ever been, well, seemingly better than it's usually. And our state aid, we're now a state aid district. You couple that all with the taxes that we will be levying this year. The actual, when you look at the Code 99, which is what is published, it shows that we will be issuing taxes for the LOB instead of 20.961, it'll be 18.146. But our overall revenue, given those 3 streams, will be higher than it was last year because it's magic, we think. So we have that. The moving the budget, the millage over to the capital outlay, as I said earlier, will generate an additional $222,000 for us. And then also the other item of merit to discuss is the bond and interest. And by bringing an additional $27,000 in, over time, we should be able to pay down that debt more quickly, which is a good thing. Couple individual facts for you. The base state aid per pupil this year is up by $137. It's supposed to go up another $140 next year. This year's increase, given our head count is up right now, generates an additional $256,000. We actually, the bad news for all of this, because it's all been good news to this point, Our assessed valuation dropped again by almost $1.5 million. So over the last 10 years, it's dropped by $80 million. I mean, a bunch of money, a bunch. So we're down another 1.5. The overall millage actually is going down. Like I said earlier, I told you the wrong number earlier. It's 0.119, not 0.116. So the millage rate will be 48.746, assuming the board adopts this later in the meeting. Enrollment is up, which is good. Hold your breath through next Monday. We need that to stay there. And like I said, the next year, the Bay State aid per pupil is supposed to go up an additional $140. Just in case you're interested in this math nerd stuff, our collection rate is usually set at 98%, and we collected greater than that. So that's pretty impressive, particularly given the stressors of this last year. And also, just so you know, a solid 83 to 85% of our funds are wrapped up in people and associated costs. So insurance, capers, just everything it costs to employ people. So that's the information on the overall budget.
So, Dr. Myers, 256,000 additional money for students, so that's what, 50-some extra students?
Yeah, it's anywhere from 25 to 50 right now. And we have to take into account weightings that come along as well. You know, because an individual kid in second grade generates Bay State aid per pupil plus LOB. Well, that's not true. If they're at risk or ESL, that's a weighting as well. Then if you go on up to the high school, and if they're in a CTE student, you know, in shop classes and whatnot, or business classes, then an additional weighting on top of that as well. So it's can't give you just a straight yes. So it's a flex.
Reading an insurance policy.
That's pretty good, though.
No, and we're pleased by this because we're facing 3 years of decline, and come heck or high water next year, we'd be making it'd be rough. You have to make up that hole. So this is good news. Anytime you can go up a little bit, it's a good thing. So we're pleased by that.
And then you get, if a kid rides a bus so far, you get.
If they're more than 2.5 miles away from the district, that also is weighted. So, Sam, you'd know off the top of your head, but the percentage of the kids who ride, or he's coming in right now. We'll have to call Sam out. Through a question to him. The vast majority of our students who ride on our bus live within the confines of Holcomb, so we do not receive weighting for them because they're not 2.5. And literally how it's written, it's from their mailbox to the flag. That's the law. And so oftentimes you'll see schools will have like a one-way path through to drop off the high school or whatever. And so they'll put the flagpole literally at the very end of it. So you can pick up an extra 1/10 of a mile as you're going through it. To just, you might as well be smart about it. So, but yes, but you're right, Matt. In theory, not in theory, in practice, if a student rides the bus and they live 2.5 miles away, that is additional weighting.
And kids that are left-handed bring more money into it.
And if they're good at certain sports.
They're out.
That's the budget. We'll have an opportunity to adopt this budget later on. Move on.
Okay. I'm going to close the budget hearing, and I am going to call the meeting to order. I have one addition. On new business, we're going to move personnel to I, and the H will then become we had an anonymous donation of $2,363.80.
1,263.
What did I say?
23.
Oh, I wish it was 23. We had $1,263.80 for cheer warm-ups. That's the only addition. So I need a motion to approve the agenda.
So move.
Second.
Curtis and Ryan Schreivogel. Moved and seconded to approve the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, I need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Jill and Sean. Moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, recognitions.
I want to take the opportunity. We've started the school year and it's gone swimmingly. I'm very, very pleased. Very pleased with the greater educational community as a whole. Yes, there's still a certain amount of angst, but you know we're having school. Teachers are teaching, kids are learning. get around the buildings enough, and it's operating. So I'm very pleased. It's a recognition for everyone involved, but I'm particularly pleased with the work of the principals for making sure everything's as organized as it possibly can, and of course with Dr. Ryan Ruda, who's now entering the meeting. I want to appreciate him, but also the nurses. I mean, they are the tip of the spear on COVID stuff, and later on in the meeting we'll be discussing some of that and how the bouncy ball seems to change. So, you know, you can't go wrong if you just have good people, and we've got great people. And so I very much recognize the achievements of the people, everyone, but the ones I particularly mentioned.
All right. Let's move to financials. Mike?
Page 1 of the warrants, Brick and Block Works, $8,896 of adding a door and doing some work at the Wally Elementary's bricks was on the warrants there.
Expensive door.
A lot of was it nip tucking or tip? What's it called, Sam? I always screw it up.
Tuck point.
Thank you. Not the Nile saying, it's tuck point. And for those who, including myself, who don't know about that, it's basically replacing the grout. And if you don't do it, your wall will fall eventually. So.
And then on page 2, CDW government, the Go Guardian suit, $7,120, and they use that to help keep students out of trouble, I guess you could say.
Monitor website usage.
Monitor, yeah.
Yes.
And then on page 3, I guess point out the Tommy lift, put it on the new cube truck, $3,244 there. And then on page 5, Midwest Well and Pump, we had to do some work on our irrigation well, $6,575. So on page 8, total warrants for the month, $250,776.57. And then on page 10, all of our funds are looking good. You'll notice that the federal funds are negative right now because we're still working on the process to where we can actually access that money. And then fund expense summary on page 12, we're early enough in the budget that there's no issues to mention, or we expect to be.
And we expect to have no issues.
Is it? Yeah.
It's not just
We
because
don't
it's
expect
early.
issues all
Yeah,
year.
there you go. Thank you, Mike.
And then after that's a high school and middle school report. So if you have any questions.
Well, if nobody has any questions, I'll entertain a motion to pay the financials at $250,776.57.
So moved.
Ryan Ruda
Second it.
and Jill. Moved and seconded to approve the financials. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? All right, no public patron concerns, so we'll move to administrative reports and Dr. Meyer.
A couple things for you tonight. If you'll recall, board members, the KASB annual conference is fast approaching. In fact, it's this week is the deadline if you are interested in attending. It's November 5 through 7. It is in Overland Park. So just let me know. I don't like the fact that it's in Overland Park. It's offensive to me for it to be that far away, but it's one more year in the Kansas City area. So that's taking place. Let me know if you'd like to attend. We've had a couple farm update meetings. Your Crack Farm Board subcommittee is present, and Matt, Ryan, and Jill. A couple things that have been decided at this point as we're moving down the path. Adjusting the way the mezzanine will be built, going from all steel to concrete brick, and with maybe, well, I can't remember if steel girders up top or not, but it has the same strength of square foot per, or same load per square foot for quite a hefty little savings. Reduced the footprint of the concrete so that we can have opportunities to work the animals in dirt and create a show area itself. Added curbing around basically the entire building as a protective and just a strengthening foundation move. Added in some water access for hoses and whatnot. I think there's 5 total now. which will make it, just more user-friendly. Included a bathroom, just because it's so far out away from everything. And then we're putting in an insulated garage door for the area where ultimately could be turned into a classroom, depending on how it goes. At one point in time, we talked about putting it in the classroom, and then we decided, well, we can always come back and retrofit that in, so rather than taking it on right now. They're still within 3 to 5% of the original bid and original bid projection, but as we continue these discussions, you take away, I don't have the final amount yet on the savings from the mezzanine, but it's, in the $9,000 range. If we take out concrete, it's going to save money. So I think we'll come in. They're pretty aggressive, and they're working hard to keep it, where we need it to be. While the materials won't be on site till April, because it takes that long to get metal, they're still on board for the building to be completed, stamped, finished by July 31st. So that means we should be starting the school year next year in the barn. So that's good. I do want to give Mike a shout out for the budget prep. This was new this year with the RNR. I mean, it's just nuts. And it's excellent job. He just did an excellent job. I've got lots of ideas and he has to say, well, that's not legal. I said, we'll make it happen. And lots of details have to go into building the budget. We go up every year just as a standard procedure. I went and sat with the Deputy Commissioner of Education for Finance, and he went through it. I mean, just all the way through it, nothing, no adjustments, no nothing. So I was able to sit there and listen to two budget geeks talk it out, and I just nod in my head and say, yeah, that's all right, good stuff. But excellent job on that, Mike, excellent. Make sure that everyone knows that tomorrow is the Longhorn Festival. It is tomorrow. We're combining forces with the Longhorn Festival and the pep rally. So the actual festival itself is from 6 to 7, but I'm sure the feeding might continue a little longer than that. And then the pep rally is at the football field from 7 to 7:30. Variety of games, activities. It'd be great if we had the same turnout we had 2 years ago. Wheatland will be here serving hamburgers and hot dogs. We're getting food or Pepsi. We'll have cookies, and then just a variety of carnival type games out in the parking lot the ground west of the high school parking lot. That's where this will take place. So if you're free to all. And also ostensibly it's a food drive. So you come out, bring a can of beans, and just take part in all of it. We will have some beans or cans of peas available in case somebody doesn't happen to bring something. We're not going to turn them away. So I'll hand it to them, and they'll donate it to whichever building they want. Simultaneously, this week is Cram the Van activity. It's the actual competition. So if anybody out listening to this or anybody in the room, if you'd like to donate food to the Horns for Hope food pantry we have at the high school. It's looking great. It's looking good, and be able to provide food for people who need it. Just bring it to one of the buildings, and what happens is they weigh it at the end of the week, and whichever building has the greatest food by weight. So don't buy a lot of Roman, buy a lot of cans if you want to win. They receive a $500 check from Wheatland. And then the district matches that as well. So $1,000 to go into the coffers of whichever building, generates the greatest weight donation to the Horns for Hope. So that is mañana. Last item is the coffee shop at the high school. Jerry had it included in his report, but the coffee shop is fully open and functioning now. Went up there myself this morning, got a cup of coffee. And it's a great project-based learning activity because of all the things they're already having to deal with, having to adjust, to get a little feedback from people. And it's tied to the accounting class, so it's a lot of math taking place there. So I'm excited to see how it goes. They have the delivery system in place. I plan on taking advantage of that tomorrow. You have to have it by 8:30 in the morning, and they'll bring it to you about 9. So that'll work quite nicely. So it's from 8 to 9 plus delivery. It's in the old high school office for the time being. We don't know where the long-term location will be, but it's a great setup. So if you happen to be around, come on in and get a cup of coffee. $1.50 for a cup of coffee, $2 for flavored coffee. And then they had foo-foo coffees, but I didn't even look at those to see what the pricing was. So, and that's my report, Mr. Jones.
All right. I'm going to show pity on Nicole Ruda and let her take our picture.
Oh, I think Nicole Ruda needs to be here for the entire meeting.
She looks
I do
like she's
too.
having
We,
fun.
we can do it right after the executive session. Okay, do it.
Where do you want us, Nicole?
Board members, please go get your picture taken.
We got to put Ryan right in the middle. I was waiting to come in. I thought you already did. just looking the dapperest.
Can't believe you took video on her. You think okay? You got an R&R in the budget?
Nobody showed.
Yeah, that's win. Nicole, do you want to take a picture of everyone else in different groupings as well? We could just, take another 20 minutes. I'm joking.
Okay. All right, let's move to, buildings. Tom?
The only other thing I did, I apologize for not messing with Marley School, so we got a few of them issues fixed, we still have a few more. All I have.
Okay. All right, Lance Grounds.
Nothing further?
All right. Transportation, Sam.
Nothing further.
All right. Food service.
Nothing further.
Okay. Mr. Ackerman?
Good to go.
Awesome. All right.
You want to go to the microphone to say that, Randy?
All right, let's move to the principals and Mrs. Albright.
That's how it will be.
I know.
You got the little ones.
That's right. We are currently doing our fast bridge testing beginning of the year, and it takes quite some time at Wiley because most of our tests are one-on-one, so we have to pull all the kids out and test them individually. So we hope to wrap that up, if not by the end of this week, the first part of next week. We had our first site council meeting at Wiley this evening, and I was very pleased to have 11 parents come and represent. So we had quite the turnout, and I hope we have some great things happening this year.
And explain just a little bit what we use the Fast Bridge data for, please.
So the Fast Bridge data, it goes along with our dyslexia initiative that the state has come out with, and so it paired up nicely. We already had Fast Bridge testing put in place before this dyslexia initiative, and so they came out with certain subtests that are required for that, and Fast Bridge covers all that. We just had to add a couple of them in at different times of the year, but we're able to take that. So we do it 3 times a year. We'll do it beginning and middle again in January and the end in May. And so that's the testing data that we look at to, rule everything that we need to work on. So
Right, so it individualizes needs of the students and then it shows their growth throughout the year.
Yep.
Or lack thereof, depending.
correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, Mrs. Tyne. All right, Mrs. Tyne. Go on.
So we recently just wrapped up our student council elections. So that is really fun at the elementary level. We did have a few tears when the winners were announced,
That's
but
the fun part.
no, that's not the fun
Oh,
part.
okay.
But they made great posters and they had to do speeches, and then we make that announcement on Friday right before it's time to go home. So then they have the weekend to recoup before they come back, and it's really good. Mrs. Crockett is our student council sponsor, so she works with the kids. I'm not exactly sure how many times they meet, but they work on different fundraising things with box tops. They do some like donation things I know they've done where they've done some volunteering. So I don't know what is on the agenda for this year, but I look forward to seeing what they do.
All right, thank you. All right, Mr. Helton.
Parents' problem to bring them down from the tears, so. All right.
I just wanted to thank the staff for their hard work on the Parent University. At the end of August, we had 64 parents turn out for that, which I thought for a first time was really good. We weren't sure what we were going to get. So appreciative for them for leading a lot of cool topics that needed to be discussed, and we got some good ideas on family engagement from families while we were there. So plan on acting on those this year. And again, a thank you to Holcomb Police Department for partnering with us on the vaping issue, and look forward to that partnership going forward. Already looking to next year, thinking what better night to do it. Well, it'd be hard to do, but the open house, we get everyone then. So thinking of how maybe we could merge the two together somehow. It'd be a long night, but it's only one night instead of 2 nights. So look into that. So just a thank you again to the staff and to the families who came out to support it.
It was a great thing. We really enjoyed it. I mean, we went to, I think there was 4 sessions.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And every session we went to was like, wow, we learned something. So
The
it was
teachers
really-
did
yeah,
a
it was
good job.
good
Thank
job.
you.
Always good to learn.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Tyler. Mr. Johnson.
How are you feeling first?
A lot better this month.
Tickety-boo?
Yeah. I don't know what that, yeah, but better than what I was last month. Sweating. Hey? I feel like I was under the microscope. So,
You still are.
yeah. Well, thank you.
You're wrong.
Thank you for that talking prompt. So, looking forward to this week. We have a lot of weeks first this week at the high school. Coffee shop opened up. That was something that the people have been working really hard on it. It's fun to go in there and see that the kids actually talking through getting feedback on the coffee was too watered down, so we had to add more coffee. Well, we didn't do it right. We should do it right. We're out of this supply. We need more of this. We need to order more of this. And the constant talking that they have back and forth with each other. And so it's pretty neat to see them. It's a real life situation, and they're talking about they take their orders from the Chromebook, they write it down, they have a process, they're having to be more efficient onto it. So it's really fun to see. If you guys get a chance to come in and order coffee, it's a pretty cool experience to see. They opened it up the very first day to just teachers and seniors to try to figure out their soft opening to see how their processes went. And then they opened it up the very next day to everybody. And we had some teachers take their seminar classes down there, and they were bombarded. And then that was when they were really thinking, man, this is a business, and we're having to bust our butts. We don't have enough. And so it was pretty cool to see. Also this week, we're going to start our hybrid schedule. That'll be the first time that we have hybrid on Wednesday and Thursday. We are going to have an early release for all students on Thursday at 2 o'clock, and that's because we're going to start as a teaching staff. We know what we're going to present for our Adulting 101 classes, but it's going to allow the teachers the time to group up and plan those out. We have 8 weeks of hybrid adulting days this first week, and we have 12 next week, just the way that it falls as far as like timelines with it. So teachers are going to get together. We're going to look at things all the way from driver's ed for freshmen all the way to, we have ACT prep math and ACT prep English for juniors. To financial literacy for seniors, as far as you're about to be on your own, what's that look like? How do you rent an apartment? How do you, should you do credit cards? Should you not do credit cards? I mean, all the different things to be able to look at. So it gives our staff a chance by departments to get together and kind of realize those things. So that's where we're at.
And if you'll recall, board, last month we talked about the Cans and Can tour or whatever, and the percentage of the feedback from the greater educational community, but also in the business community in particular. Cognitive skills, academic skills are important, but they're saying, no, we really want I call them success skills. The rest of the world calls them soft skills. They're success skills. That's what we need. Well, the Adulting 101, that's what it will do. That's what it's doing. I'm that old man on the porch with my cane saying, get off my front yard, and everybody like me. You go into McDonald's, the kids can't even count back change. Well, this will help. That kind of thing. So I don't know how many people out in the audience right now carry a checkbook, but I've got 2 in my pocket because I'm old. but we still need to teach those concepts to our youngins, to our students as they come through. So that's great. And take the opportunity, take the time, breathe the same air, and get it all set up. That's good.
That's it.
Thank you, Jerry. Okay, I think you mean here. Don't you mean High Plains instead of Holcomb?
No, trust me.
Oh, do we have to?
Not yet. You'll
Okay.
see, you'll see.
All right, so we're going to move to the Holcomb Recreation Commission.
Later in the meeting, you will have to adopt, or you will act upon the Holcomb Recreation Commission's budget. We have no authority over them whatsoever, but we are their taxing entity. And so it's just a peculiarity, it's part of the law. So you just have information. Normally, this is part of the consent agenda, but we pulled it out for you just to see it. We'll be talking about it in depth later on in the meeting.
Okay,
Method to the madness,
thanks for the curveball.
President Jones.
All right, let's move to unfinished business and new high school and middle school teachers.
All righty, every year we like to bring in our new crop. We can start with the high school. Jerry, if you'd come to the mic, please. We're going to start with the high school, just give you an opportunity to put a name and a face together. Very pleased. We work very hard on bringing together the best we can get. I've said it multiple times. We're only as good as our people, only. So we're in a pretty good place as far as work hard to bring the right people in, and we've done it again. So if you'd introduce who they are, what they teach, that'd be great.
First
And
is
have them give a speech. Have them each give a speech.
Declaration of Independence speech. That's Jackson Autry. No. First is Jackson Autry. He is not necessarily new to Holcomb, but he's new to USD 363. He's been served in the interrelated special ed side for us the last 3 years. And this was the second time. We recruited him back in, it's been, I can remember my son, who's a senior now, was a kindergartner when they first came. So he was here, and then went back to Kim, and then we've kind of been in contact back and forth, and he came back out, and we were able to move him into a PE position. So he teaches strength for us now and does a great job. Lots of energy from him every day. Next to him is Scott Dirksen. He is our new English teacher that we added on to it, which thank you very much for the additional English teacher that we have. He is teaching freshman English, sophomore English, with him, but doing a really good job.
Scott, back in the day, did he drop 30 points on Matt Jones in a basketball? Did he do that?
I think they won, so.
Yeah, but he still dropped 30 on him, didn't he?
Beat us.
May have been 40.
Might have been 40.
Refs were from Hillsborough,
Who's counting?
Might have been 35.
Next year.
Right, okay, whatever. Thank you, Scott. Say hi to your dad.
He's a heck of a player.
It's amazing how that always comes up. Every time that Scott comes up, yeah. That's why you came here. Sitting behind and to the right is Alexis Meinert. She is teaching our new math classes this year, and she's done a great job with it. Algebra, Math 2, and Math 4, correct? All right. Standing behind her to the left, I guess, is Stephanie Simon. This is the new position that we added on this year. That's our student advocate position. She'll be helping with the MTSS at the high school as far as pullouts for math and for English, and she's done an awesome job. And she's also our lunch clerk and breakfast clerk, so she takes care of everything for us there. Back behind in the purple is Melinda Gertzberger. Did I say it right?
Nailed it. He normally just says the Jag lady. That's what he normally says.
Actually, I'm not the
I
one that
actually-
says that. But I did say her name like 4 times wrong the first day on her interview, and so I nailed it that time. She's done an amazing job with us. It's here for the first 3 to 4 hours, and then on the JAG part, the second half of the day, they're out with the kids, making sure that the jobs that they're doing from the previous year is taking place. Sitting next to her is Heather Julian. She's our biology teacher, also doing an amazing job. Teaches all freshmen, so because the freshman class is so big, we're able to spread her out into 6 different classes into it. So,
God bless you.
No kidding.
I think that's it. Yes, that is all of our people.
Thank you for knowing, Jerry. Thank you. Tyler.
The middle school only has 2. Right here on the front row is Trevor Stout, which is his first year teaching, but he's been with the district for several years now, making a difference with our student athletes. He's doing a great job hitting the ground running. They're getting ready. Kids are hopefully getting ready tonight. I reminded some of them after football practice, they've got a 13 colonies test in social studies tomorrow. Put that plug in for you, the parents out there listening. And then Alicia Meinert is our art teacher this year. And Alicia is bringing back our art club, which makes me excited because when I first came here, well, we had Hannah Bloomstedt, and she really did great things with that. They took out-of-state field trips to art museums and stuff, and well, slowly maybe we'll work our way back that way, but she's done a good job first year hitting the ground running on bringing that back. So glad to have them both. They're doing a great job in the classroom. Pleased to have them. Thank you.
And teachers, you're more than welcome to hang around, but if you leave, we understand. So, but welcome.
Welcome. All right, let's move to socio.
They can't get out of here fast enough, man.
Hey, don't trip. Hey. We're going to move to socio-emotional learning curriculum adoption.
All righty. There are, like I've said multiple times, there are very many things about the district I'm very pleased with, but right at the top is the counseling crew. We've shown, we've brought more resources to the program, and they just have grabbed it and run with it. And we have a systemic approach now. Very pleased with the counseling staff. We're blessed to have such dedicated people, but in the best of times. Well, the last couple of years have not been the best of times, but thankfully we've been involved in this work. You know, we take it very seriously, the mental health aspect, and I'm sure, as you all know, we've had the area has suffered some tragedies in the last week or so, and I'm just pleased that we've got our people in place to help kids and adults alike. So we've gotten to a certain spot where, because we've been helping kind of ad hoc, and they get together, if not weekly, quite often to make sure we're, regulating or calibrating our approaches. But now we're to the point where we need to have a curriculum. We need to have and so what we're bringing to you tonight is the idea of an adoption of a socio-emotional learning curriculum. And so I've asked the counselors to talk a little bit about, the details of it, the process that they went through, the rollout, what do we expect to see from this. And then I'll give a plug for Jenna right off the bat. Through her negotiations, she got a 35% discount on this thing. So she's going to help me with my next car that I buy. So, Jenna.
Okay, so something that I want to share is kind of our why and the reason that we wanted to seek out a K-12 curriculum. Initially, the discussions were around, do we need a K-12? Can we break it K-5, 6, 12, something like that? And the more we discussed and looked, we felt that common language, common approaches, consistent information, and the way it was delivered to the kids was really important for us in this district. So we spent some time. We pulled together a list of about 13 different curriculums available out there and started digging in to see, number one, are they K-12? And number two, what's the delivery method? What kind of information is provided? Several different avenues of information that we looked at. We narrowed that list of 13 down to 4, our top 4 that could meet our criteria. And then we took that list after digging even deeper and narrowed it to 1, to Character Strong. We spent 2 days this summer working on this and getting everything kind of pulled together and ready to make a recommendation. And once we narrowed to Character Strong, we each reached out to the representative and got signed up for grade level specific demos that they did online with us. And then once we moved on beyond that, we determined that yes, this is something we really would like to pursue, and got approval from Dr. Myers to seek out a quote to serve our entire district, and got that back. And there were some corrections that were needed on that quote that we got from them. And then we provided it to SIC. It's been discussed with the administrative team, and now we're here with you requesting adoption. We also talked about what's our rollout plan. And if this were something that we could get access to, because it is a completely electronic curriculum, so we wouldn't have the wait time for textbooks, things like that. We could get access to the materials immediately. What we would like to do is dig in and pull out the pieces that we need right now, and then work on a semester 2 larger piece rollout. We feel like teachers have a lot on their plates right now, and we want to help support them and balance the rollout of the information across the district. So it would be tiered rollout, all grade levels.
And Jenna, I mentioned, talked about the process, the work that they went through, but then just to make sure you understand, we have different faces, different looks, look at it from different angles. So the first group after, we had talked, are we interested in this whatsoever? Then it came to the School Improvement Council, okay, and that's made up of teachers, it's teacher representatives. Good discussion, thorough discussion, not just, you want it, okay. I mean, it was a good conversation. They voted unanimously. So then the process that I follow from there is before it gets to you guys, it goes to the administrative council. And so the following Tuesday, we kick the tires again. And every time you bring it to a different group, there's a slightly different angle, but yeah, what if, but what about? One of the things we're highly cognizant of, and Jenna's already mentioned it, we have to be, even though this is a really good thing, the last thing we want to do is overwhelm our teachers. And so we have to be very conscious and cognizant of how we do that. And that was one of the concerns that the principals had, is, well, is it too much? I said, well, not if we look at it this way, and the greater good is served. They 100% said, well, let's go for it. Then I sit back and look at all the information and say, yes or no, and I bring it to the board. And so that's where we're at. Anything else to add, Jenna?
I do have something else to add. In August of this year, KSDE put out their approved list of evidence-based strategies, and Character Strong is on that list.
Good,
So we can have confidence that it has been approved.
good. I was not aware of that. That's good, good piece.
Is there some evaluative piece there to it then, as far as from the student side, just to be able to get feedback on what may need to be improved or shifting? I mean, I know when you're talking data points and things, and with it being at the state level, that's good to have that affirmation, but
Right. Do any of you guys want to chime in about what you saw through the demo? I don't know for sure if there's an evaluative piece built into Character Strong, but that would be something that we would also implement separately to make sure that what's being done and the way it's being delivered and received on the student side meets our needs and also meets the data collection needs that we want to seek out as we kind of roll into this next 5-year cycle.
yeah, good.
What are the first couple pieces that you're gonna roll out this first?
I know we had talked about utilizing some of the pieces in some of our small groups that we already have in place as far as the materials that are used in those group settings. I want to dig in. Character Strong has a gym, the Character Strong gym. That's the resource location within their tool where they house there's a search function and a way to filter down to the exact topics that we need. I can see uses in the high school for individual counseling sessions. Even for teachers, we can share our logins so that teachers can access those resources. There are resources for administration. There are resources for us to share out with our communities and parents. And the really neat part is it's all translated in Spanish for us as well. And that was a real key factor for us when we were looking at it. Are there any other questions that we can help with? The 612 is built a little differently and targeted to that age group of students and the way they utilize students of that age to deliver the video messages that are used as a part of the lessons. The pre-K 5 section, right, Emmy? Melanie? Yes, is, what's the name of it? Like the main name of the curriculum. No. It's titled a bit differently, and it is targeted towards those younger students in the way that it's delivered to them, in a way that's engaging and appropriate for those age levels. When we looked at a few of the other curriculums, it claimed to be K-12, but when you get into the 6-12 realm, they're still using some elementary approaches that the kids don't connect to.
And what's that frog's name?
Kelso.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. Honestly, it's important for a curriculum to be aligned, so it progresses nicely from K through 12, right? But it is hugely important that we're not, at the high school level, the kids don't get the impression that we're treating them like second graders. And I don't think Kelso goes up to junior high, up to, is it middle school? Do we have Kelso? Yeah. It's a frog, it's an icon for making choices is what it is, but,
The elementary portion is titled Purposeful People. The other point I wanted to make while we're visiting, you mentioned soft skills, success skills,
Thank you.
real skills. A lot of our SEL approaches and work we do with kids feeds right directly into those needs and helping them learn how to work with others and manage our time and manage our resources. A lot of those things really support that.
Right. Any other questions? Because I would recommend the board adopt the character strong curriculum. Oh, I do recommend, not would recommend.
I'd make that motion.
Okay, so it was Ryan, Ruda, and Curtis. Moved and seconded to adopt the character strong curriculum. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
We'll process paper tomorrow. We'll get it going.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
All right, let's move to the pandemic plan adjustment.
Yeah, following the last meeting, after the meeting, rather, was debriefing and looking at, and, basically what we had done, and what the board had done. And you had accepted the plan that had backed off basically when the mitigation strategies come into play. Fine. Where the logic fell apart for me is the last great step that we take in order to stay in school is the hybrid schedule. And this is not the hybrid schedule which Jerry was referring to earlier. What this means is if we get to such a case, and I've got numbers for you, all sorts of things for you. Of course, we're trying to predict the future, and that's really not easy. If we were to get to the hybrid, wherever it is, whatever level it's at the high school, what that looks like is, the secondary level, is an A-B type schedule. So half the kids come on Monday, half come to school on Tuesday. That's just how it rolls, all right? Our assumption on that is sixth graders can be at home alone. Okay, that's the thinking behind that. The elementary, however, it just wouldn't work. That would just not be a good setup. So the hybrid method we just spread out. We just spread out across this room becomes a classroom probably. So it's far afield that way, but even more poignantly, more importantly is we literally don't have enough people. It's a difficult year for hiring subs and for hiring paras and para subs. And so it would just, could it be done? Yeah, probably. Would it be good? No. And we'd end up, because back in the day, prior to all these issues, if you just couldn't find a sub, you pulled the classrooms together. That's just all you did. It's just not a possibility now if we're to a certain level. So the mitigation factor or strategy prior to the hybrid is the putting on of masks. That's it. And so what happened last month is those got paired at the same level. They both came in at the same level. To me, it's just not logical. And so we created two different versions for you. Has 6 levels, one has 7 levels. The 6th level one moves the masks back to level 4 as being required. Nothing else changed. That's it. That changed. The other one, the one with 7 levels, basically it keeps the masks required at level 5, and then the hybrid comes in at level 6, and then 7 is the shutdown. In the 6th level one, level 6 is a shutdown. I do not believe we will get to that level. Shutdown, whether it's 6, 7, whatever you call it. I don't think we're going to get there. But I do believe, and I've got numbers that already show it, that we will have issues. And our goal is to stay in school. I've got numbers for us, hard data for us that I will share with you. Then you also know well, it's not anecdotally, it's accurate, it's actual. District in our league has gone with masks at the high school. Another league district is fully masked throughout the entire district. We're talking rural Southwest Kansas districts. Garden City is an anomaly, not an anomaly. It's a beast unto itself. They've got, almost 200 kids in quarantine right now. We have worked deals with the county where we get people to stay in school as much as we possibly can through close contacts. If there's a close contact at school, we've got it worked out to where the individual family has they make the choice. They could either send the kid to school wearing a mask for the equivalent of the quarantine, or they can quarantine the kid. They, being the family, can make that choice, okay? Our school system does not quarantine anybody. That's not in our jurisdiction. We're not mental health, we're not mental health people. We're not county health people. I don't have a degree in that, okay? So it's only the county that has that jurisdiction. If someone is at home though, and there's a close contact at home, if the other people are vaccinated, or if they have recovered from COVID within the last 6 months, they can come to school. Otherwise, they're quarantined, okay? Our current numbers over the last 2 weeks, students, we had 13 positive 2 weeks ago, 7 positive last week. 2 weeks ago, 14 quarantined. Last week, 15 quarantined. A grand total of 28 positive students with 44 quarantined. Comparing that to last year, last year's total number of positives for students was 67. We're already at 41.7% of last year's 100% on positives. On the quarantines, we had a grand total of 237 last year. We've had 44 at this point. That's 18.5% of last year's total. I prefer that to the 41.7, but it's still ahead of the game. You know, we're going to surpass, I would think, if the numbers keep up, we'll surpass last year's numbers. Adults are far better. We have 3 total positives this year, 0 quarantined. Last year we had 30 total positives with 29 quarantined. So that's how the numbers are flowing. That's only as good till tomorrow. I mean, I check in daily with the nurses. We've got a variety of different tracking methods we have. I always want to know what the number is, and of that number, how many are constant, how many are new, or carryover, how many are new. So we can actually start putting together some line graphs and things to see what it's really doing as far as that goes. I don't know. We'll see what we get as they come forward. But I'm coming to you tonight asking to adjust the plan to separate the masks from the hybrid. Get them on separate levels. And as far as I'm concerned, given the numbers where we're at and we're beating the game from last year, unfortunately, I would recommend that you adopt the adjusted 6-level pandemic plan. And that's my recommendation to the board. And we are at level 2, by the way, right now. So it's not like just passing out candy. You know, our numbers went down this last week, but the county indicators went up, so I stayed the same.
So do the county indicators, I know if you have 4 to 5 county indicators, you go to level, I don't have it in front of me, but you go to a certain level.
Last year's plan, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's the difference between going from 6 to 7?
7 is we're shut down.
Per the indicators, is there another amount of indicators?
There are 6 indicators currently, and this is to show you how I weigh all the data. 5 indicators from the county are flipped last week, 5. But I kept us at level 2 because our numbers dropped. If our numbers had gone up, we'd be at 3. Okay. Last year's plan isn't what we have as far as the indicator. We use that information, but we're not tied to it, to what those indicators are. And then there's discussion amongst the county on that, by the way. But I'm holding strong to we're going to follow our numbers as well. That plays into it. And flat out, Ryan, if our numbers had stayed the same or gone up, we would be at level 3 right now. But they didn't. They went down. We'll see what happens this week. I don't know. And also, just so you know, there's a whole little nuance of this. We can't remote. So the more people out in quarantine, the worse it's going to be.
Do you think there's any chance of them changing that?
They'd either have to bring in a special session, which I think they're reticent to do that, or have to be early in the next semester. I would love it. I would absolutely love it if they would. I think they're going to get enough pushback. I mean, you've had multiple schools have already shut down for a period of time. You know, have actually shut the doors. And they're already looking at how are we going to count the year.
Having to make up hours.
Yeah, already, yeah. So if we just have to keep a really good relationship with our county, which we do. We have at this point. So, because they ultimately have that, they still have that power.
Is it each student can get up to 2 weeks remote? Is that right?
Well, what happens is you can get up to 40 hours cumulative. So it's not 40. I mean, if you can take all 40 right now, boom, you're there. You take 10 this week, 10 the next week, 5 this week, you know, just keeping track of it. Once they hit 40, the funding drops. And then we ask for a waiver and all that kind of stuff. Then it goes to 240. But 240, the law is built for anhydrous spill, is what that's built for. A gas spill, a fire, a tornado, that's what it's built for. Frankly, I mean, my poor principals, I don't know how we would keep track of it. You know, because for every person in this room, we'd have to have a running tag of how long have they been out. And once it gets into that realm, it's supposed to be about COVID, but maybe not. It could just be they're absent. And frankly, I don't want to turn those numbers over to the state next June, because that's what we have to do. I want us to have 0 remote, so there's no question. But if they come back later on and say, oh, wait a second, that's funky data, right? That looks like 41 hours. You just lost a third of our funding per kid. I mean, that's what happens, unless they come back and change it. Sure hope that common sense prevails. So.
Yeah, I make a motion that we accept the level 6 pandemic plan as presented.
Okay,
Second.
Jill and Curtis. It's been moved and seconded to approve the adjustment to the 6 levels.
Can I get some discussion on that, Matt?
Sure.
I think everybody knows how I feel about masks, but everything I've read, unless you're using those N95 masks, it's really not cutting anything out but maybe 5-10% of what's going through there. And there might be more detriment from wearing masks. Excuse me, wearing masks. I just want to keep it at the minimum as possible. You know, I know it's not a whole lot, but you know, going from one level to the next, keeping our kids out of those masks that they're just breathing their own exhaust as long as possible. That's my concern. And they're really not, well, and from what I've read, they're really not keeping anything out except for maybe, like I said, 5-10%. So I just urge everybody to try to do as much as possible for our kids, keeping them out of those masks.
And one little nuance to that, if I may. The exemption still exists. And so if families bring forth a medical exemption.
Or religious.
Right, then if they have the opportunity, you know, I realize that's not the whole. And we had some, I don't know how many, I won't give it a number, but we did have some last year who brought forth a medical note. And once we receive it, we move on down the road. Just as a nuance, so.
And I totally agree with separating the two. It makes sense to go from mask to hybrid to shut down. I mean, we should have thought of that last month, but
We're on the fly.
yeah, that's my opinion, so.
Okay. All right. I still have a motion and a second to approve the 6th level that we've adjusted. Any further discussion? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
Nay.
5-1. Okay. Let's move to the KASB proposed policy adjustment.
This is the second read. We went through these pretty slowly and didactically last month, and I'll be glad to do it again if you'd like. But the general themes are is it streamlines definitions and processes when we have individual issues that might occur within Title IX or sexual harassment or whatnot. It just kind of gives us more of a playbook. Also, it gives the BOE more power if we do have a shutdown as to whether or not we have to feed people or not. It's not that we're opposed to it, but like anytime I talk about any policy, you know, can we and do we want to, and will we and can we enforce it? Can we do it? You know, do we have the personnel to make it happen? Well, this gives us the power for the board to say, you know, we're going to choose not to do that, or we'll choose to do that. Just gives the board more power. And then, of course, the information's in here about the RNR. As much as I might despise that little change to our budget processy, it needs to be there. So we need to get it into our policy. So I would recommend the board adopt the proposed KASB policy adjustments as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Ryan Ruda and Sean Sheets. Been moved and seconded to adopt the proposed KASB policy adjustments. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, new business. And we're to the Rex budget.
Yeah, and all this, like in my writing to you, we have no power or authority over the Holcomb Recreation Commission, but we do serve as their taxing entity. They have choices of using us, the city, themselves. Many rec boards use the school districts. Why? I don't know, because they just do. But in order for their budget to take place, it's a 4.6 mils budget, 1,543,766. In order for them to get that money, this board has to approve it. So I would recommend the board approve of the 2021-2022 Holcomb Recreation Commission budget.
So moved.
Second.
Okay,
Nice to give them their money.
Sean and Ryan Schreibogel. Moved and seconded to approve the 2021-2022 budget for the Holcomb Rec Commission. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, let's approve of exceeding the revenue neutral rate.
And this is just Scott being anal. We already passed the resolution back in July, but since this is brand new, I don't want to have any little hiccup that says, oh, you didn't do it on yellow paper. So I'm asking you one more time just to recommend the board approve of exceeding the revenue rate, neutral rate for 21-22. And in reality, gang, this couldn't have worked out any better. It's a celebration. Our taxes are lower than they have been, yet we're generating more money for the capital outlay, and we've got some things going on there. So I would recommend approving of the exceeding the rate.
So moved.
Second it.
Ryan, Ruda, and Jill. Moved and seconded to approve the exceeding of the revenue neutral rate for the 2021-2022 school year. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, let's move to the adoption of the 2021-2022 budget.
And if you have any questions about the budget, be glad to cover them with you. But basically, at this point, we just need to adopt it. Once again, very successfully done. By moving things around, having the vision for it, we're in a better place. And so I would recommend, and our actual taxes will go down. Your taxes, Curtis Peterson, are going to go down by 0.119 mils. You're welcome.
Amen.
Just Curtis's. Just
Nobody
Curtis's.
else. He's the best looking board member.
Yeah,
That's
Ryan,
what
yours
he
is
said.
going up.
So I recommend adoption of the 2021-22 budget as presented.
So moved.
Sean Sheets. Second. Curtis Peterson. Moved and seconded to adopt the 2021-2022 budget as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Symmetry K-Jump Settlement Agreement.
At long last, we come to the end of the rainbow on this. For those who are not in the know, this is the group that was employed, or contracted rather, by K-Jump. K-Jump is the group within KASB. We're a member of K-Jump to buy natural gas for us. Okay, this is back to the Texas ice storm of February, where they popped up the price from $2 and whatever per MMBTU to $17 per MMBTU. And although the statutory limit was 4.57 per MMBTU, KASB has reached an agreement with Symmetry for us to move on down the road. I do recommend that the board accept this. We have the right to go out on our own and litigate this, but our lawyer is KASB, the group that made the deal. So we'd have to go out on the open market to, one of two things, go out on the open market, buy gas, which I'm not interested in doing whatsoever, or find a different lawyer, so we're taking on costs. Since we parked the money in the contingency reserve at the time of the rollout, in order to spend those monies, that has to be a part of the motion. You have to say, using, to complete the payment with contingency reserve funds. It has to be, those words have to be there. So on your piece of paper here from our recommendation, this exact quote would be a nice one for someone to make. I recommend acceptance of the settlement agreement between Symmetry and K-Jump and to complete the payment with contingency reserve funds.
Do I need to read that again?
I can read it again if you'd like me to.
Oh, that'd be great.
Okay. Done like Ryan Ruda. No. I recommend acceptance of the settlement agreement between Symmetry and K-Jump and to complete the payment with contingency reserve funds.
So moved.
Second it.
Ryan, Ruda, and Jill. Moved and seconded to settle the agreement between Symmetry and K-Jump and complete the payment with contingency reserve funds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? See, I doubled you there.
Yeah, you did. And put this baby to bed, what we have to do now is send this piece of paper that Matt and we are signing. It's the agreement itself, and make the payment, the final payment before the end of this month. We'll get it in the mail mañana. It'll be gone tomorrow. So move on to the bigger and better things, I guess.
You wanna read that recommendation too, or?
No.
All right, let's move to member agreement with Kansas Board Solutions Incorporated.
So now, since all this kerfuffle occurred and symmetry went away, we're working with a new group called Wood River, but we don't have a contract with Wood River. We have an agreement. What we do have is a member agreement with Kansas Board Solutions. Well, Kansas Board Solutions is KASB. For whatever reason, some legal reason, I'm sure, they reorganized themselves. And so it's still doing work at the same building right there on Arrowhead in Topeka, Kansas. Just they've got a different office for this group, and they've created their own new name. So I recommend adoption of the new member agreement with Kansas Board Solutions Incorporated as the agent for K-Jump.
So moved.
Second.
Ryan Ruda and Sean Sheets. It's moved and seconded to recommend adoption of a new member agreement with Kansas Board Solutions Incorporated as the agent for K-Jump. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Did you say they're Blue River?
Wood River.
Wood River?
Wood River.
Gee,
Whiskey.
yeah, I know.
They're going to use good gas.
River bourbon. Okay.
It is a locked-in 5-year price, higher than what we want it to be, but it's still a locked-in 5-year price, so, which is good.
All right. Well, let's move to site council members.
As per law, the Kansas districts need to maintain site councils. Site councils are made up of parents and community members per building. You have before you a list of people who volunteered to serve on this. Their idea, they come together once a month, once a quarter, just pretty often, to work with the teaching staff or the education staff, providing advice and counsel in how we achieve our goals. And so it's great that we have this many people volunteering to be a part of it. To make it official, though, I recommend approval of the site council members as presented.
Jerry, is that my wife that's name is on there? You're crazy.
Is that part of the motion?
Good luck.
The recommendation that Matt says Jennifer is recommend approval of the site council members as presented.
Ryan?
Second.
Curtis? Moved and seconded to approve the site council members as presented. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, good luck, Jerry. All right, let's move to Delegate Assembly Representative Ryan Ruda.
Pass.
Whether anyone attends the KASB convention, it is important for the district to appoint, or for the board rather, to appoint one member as the district's delegate assembly representative, because individual can cast votes from distance as well. So,
Are they going to Zoom it again?
yep, they're going to give the opportunity for people to Zoom and or be there. So, and Matt served in this capacity last year.
I liked it. Yeah, I wouldn't change it.
Like the last 7 years.
So that's a legacy vote? Is that
I guess, yeah, legacy.
It
Yeah, grandfathered in.
takes an actual motion, please.
Make that motion and Matt stays on it.
Okay, Sean
You're welcome. Second.
and Curtis. Moved and seconded that Matt Jones is the lucky one to remain the Delegate Assembly Representative for KASB. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's good that you can
get a
Zoom it.
You get a $12 per diem.
You know,
That's true.
Yeah, last year I just sat on the couch and, yeah, it wasn't.
Collected your 12 bucks.
Do we get,
Why
there's
fix
no
what isn't
12
broken?
bucks, is there? I had to pay
Oh,
that
yeah.
12 bucks.
No, Matt, there's not.
Dang it. You've been keeping that from me all these years. Okay, let's move to H, which is donation.
We had a patron come forward wanting to anonymously donate $1,263.80 for the purpose of purchasing cheerleader warm-ups. It's been vetted through the coach, the AD, then up to myself. Recommend that we accept the donation.
So moved, Matt.
Jill
Second.
and Ryan Ruda. Moved and seconded to approve the donation for the cheer warm-ups. All those in favor say aye.
Well, I'm sorry, for the cash, for the,
For
for the
what?
dollar amount.
For, in the amount of $1,263.80. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Apparently that must have been the total cost of the warm-ups. Okay, so now we need to go to executive session. You're saying 10 minutes?
I can do it in 10 minutes.
All right, Curtis, we down?
You're not as fast as he is. You better say 15.
All right. Well, let's go into executive session at 8:15 for 15 minutes.
Invite Randy Tyne, please.
To include Dr. Myers and Randy Tyne, and that's it.
And we'll stay in here.
All right, I like it.
So moved.
Jill? Second. And Sean. Moved and seconded to go into executive session at 8:15 for 15 minutes, including Dr. Myers and Randy Tyne. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
Doctor? Doctor?
And you get paid to do this. That's the sad part. I'm docking your pay.
Move out of the district. Out of my district.
Didn't get far enough.
All right, we're back in session. I need a motion to hire Zoe McVeigh Aller as a half-time 4-year-old preschool para.
So moved.
Ryan Shrivogel and Jill. Moved and seconded to hire Zoe. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I need a motion to hire Stephanie Simon as the high school student advocate.
So moved.
Second.
Jill and Ryan Ruda. Moved and seconded to hire Stephanie. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I need a motion to hire Daryl Frauf as a part-time special ed bus driver.
So moved.
Jill. Ryan Shrivogel. Moved and seconded to hire Daryl. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Need a motion to hire Tiffany Lucero as a full-time custodian.
So moved.
Ryan Ruda
Second it.
and Jill. Moved and seconded to hire Tiffany. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Need a motion to hire Ma Guillen Cornejo as a full-time cook.
So moved.
Sean Sheets.
Second.
Ryan Ruda. Moved and seconded to hire Ma. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Need a motion to hire Ismail Sherez as a full-time custodian.
So moved.
So moved.
Ryan Shrivogel and Sean Sheets. Moved and seconded to hire Ismail. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I need a motion to hire Luke Diaz as a part-time custodian.
So moved.
Second.
Jill and Sean. Moved and seconded to hire Luke. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? I need a motion to approve the supplementals as presented.
So moved.
Ryan Ruda, Curtis. Moved and seconded to approve the supplementals as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thought maybe we want to have this secret budget hearing talk again here at the end of the meeting. I'm joking. There's nothing else.
We can if you want.
No, I'm done. I'm done.
Okay. Well, I need need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So Sean and Curtis. Moved and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Oh, wait a minute. We got to talk about that secret budget hearing. See you next month.
Where are you guys moving?
3 miles east. Right on Sherlock.
I got one, you want me to bring it?
No? You know Don and Rhonda Dietz?